Hello, 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 and welcome to this new and exciting episode of the Sovereign Society podcast. I've got another soul sister here with me, and it's been so fun having all the gang come through and just share and blast this place up because the world is ready for it. I'm sure you feel the same thing, Stephanie. Mm-hmm. I've got Stephanie Bellinger here, spiritual boss babe here, and I'm just really excited because I'm sure you're feeling too that these new earth codes are anchoring right now.
Yes, for sure.
Right? Like I've just been, ever since the Lionsgate, it's been really, there's been a lot of shifts happening. And I know we're like,
before that.
Yeah. And I know we're in the last months of this decade and 2019 preparing for 2020 Crystal Vision. So I just feel like we're purging through such a huge density right now. I feel like generationally, ancestrally, collectively. I mean, what are you feeling?
I feel like the last few months have been really crazy for me personally and for a lot of people that I know. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely been purging a lot of the old paradigms and like the deep stuff for me personally. And yeah, I feel like it's been a crazy fucking summer.
This summer has been next level, but I think, everyone kind of knew that going into this year. We all, like all the astrologers and the mystics and the psychics, they all said summer is gonna be a doozy.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like now we're kind of coming out at like the light at the end of the tunnel kind of phase of like, okay, this spiritual evolution and growth and all that stuff. So it's like, I can breathe now.
Yeah. And it's also interesting with that. I feel like people going through the purge or people going through the healing or the liberation, the moksha, now they're really inspired to build their business and to share their passions and allow that to really be their purpose. And not only that, but they're sharing their story. So I would love to hear what your story is of like how you're choosing to anchor in these new codes and share your medicine. Because I mean, you've got such a strong following with your private Facebook group and just your whole following. And, you know, I would love to hear what your mission is and what your intention is for the work that you're doing based off of what's brought you here.
Yeah. Well, I don't even really know where to start my story, but I feel like I'm always expanding and growing just as we all are. And my mission and vision and purpose expands as I do. And so for a long time, so when I was a teenager, I was in a very abusive relationship. I usually start there because this was like my, I guess, first phase of spiritual awakening when I was like 14 to 20. And once I built myself back up enough to leave the abuse and step into my power, I always knew that I was meant to do something really big. I was meant to, you know, live my best life. And I realized that we could create anything that we want in life and all kinds of things. But ever since then, I knew that I was meant to do something. It just didn't always look clear. And so I don't think it ever really looks super, super clear because we just have to freaking start and share and
trust.
And trust.
Yeah.
And so my journey's been, you know, a long, interesting one. I finally realized I was meant to help people in a deeper way when I started personal training, health and fitness coaching, and because that was my first taste of personal and spiritual growth. And then it transitioned into wanting to go deeper in the spiritual realm and mindset and really helping people share their voice, share their message, share their gifts, because I believe that we all have a really powerful purpose here and we all contribute to the shift that's happening on the planet. And we all have our own unique magic and medicine to share with the world. And so part of being able to step into that fully is doing the deep work for yourself, holistically, like mind, body, and spirit. So in my case, the fitness, the, you know, eating healthier, losing weight and all that stuff was like my first phase. Not really my first phase, it was my first taste of like what, it changed my life, you know? And so, yeah, like I just been taking one step at a time, following where I'm being guided and sharing my journey along the way. And I wasn't always confident to even share my journey. I was very nervous. Thankfully, I got practice when I did my fitness stuff, with putting myself out there, because it was gearing me up to what I'm doing now and what I'm also stepping into even now. So I hope that answers your question. It's kind of
No,
been a
that's
long
really
journey.
beautiful. I think, to me, I feel like the most important thing in all of this is doing the deep internal work. I also believe that the inner creates the outer, and that like we have the power to understand, like I call it the solistic approach. Like there's
Oh
everything.
yeah, I
Our
love that.
soul is involved in all areas of our life. And so
Mhm.
if you're neglecting an area of your life, it's going to affect the rest of your being, and it's going to affect the rest of your experience here. And so, I mean, I would just love to talk more about like the importance of doing the deep internal work, especially if you're building a business today, because I just feel like in today's day and world, like everyone's bullshit meters are really strong.
Mhm.
And I don't want to say there's an oversaturation, but it's like it's an invitation for us to really just stay in our own lane and to be in our truth and to just be in that space. So I would just love to hear what you've really seen, like doing that deep internal work, and how that affects building your business, and that affects sharing your message, and just being an overall like conscious being in today's
Yeah.
that we're living in reality.
Well, I mean, the inner back down, if your mindset and energy aren't on board, then no strategy is ever going to work really, or it'll work a little bit, but you'll still feel off on the inside. And
Mm-hmm.
so I learned this lesson mostly from my personal training, health and fitness coaching stuff. Again, like that was kind of like my testing ground, so to speak. And I had a very successful business. That was my first venture into becoming self-employed and being on my own, living in New York City. I felt like I made it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was really scared of, oh, am I going to really be able to keep this up? You know, what if I fail? What if people don't like me? And like, I noticed that even though I felt like a badass, there was this part of me that still needed to be healed or whatever. There were all these stories that were going on in the background about like why it's not going to work, or just that fear. And I gave my power away to the fear, even though I was still doing a lot of inner work back then. You know, I was doing like work, but I was giving power away to the fear still. And I noticed that things felt like they were crumbling beneath me. And um, I felt like a complete failure. I had to get a side job again. And I didn't have to. I chose to get a side job again because I felt like I needed to, because whatever. But I felt like a complete failure. And that's actually kind of around the time when I was introduced to plant medicine. I
Mm.
was like, okay, this is all happening for a reason, you know? um, I realized that there were deeper things that I needed to look at and learn and activate, so to speak, in order to step into my next phase of purpose. And so like I was still always on purpose, but when I was introduced to plant medicine, when I, reached that point of quote unquote failure, it was actually divine. Like it was like a divine plan of like, this is supposed to happen, and this is the path, like once I was introduced to plant medicine, it was like, oh my God, now this all makes sense. This is
Things
all
start
fun.
clicking. Like I
Yeah.
know for me, everyone's always like, when I'm on other people's podcasts, or even when we were talking on your podcast, which I have a link in the description below, we were talking about plant medicines. And to me, like everyone's always like, okay, I need to hear about your journey. And I know for me, like that really helped me overcome my depression that I had. And
Yeah.
that depression is the epitome of an unhealthy mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, I don't know, I've been working with plant medicine since I was like 17, starting, I guess, with cannabis in that realm. And even today, like, I just feel like the plants are speaking through us. And I know, like, for me, like, when I consume cannabis, I've been also consuming it with red rose. So I'm smoking the two together to allow that heart to open. So these plant medicines can also be, like we have this rise of essential oils, and we have this like, the psychedelic renaissance kind of happening
That's what
again
I'm
too.
really talking about. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What would you say have been like some of your more profound plant medicine journeys that have really like changed the trajectory of where you're
I
going?
mean, it's completely changed the trajectory of my life. Like before, and I'm not like saying that this is the only way and that it's for everyone, and all that or any of that. But like I was doing EMDR therapy, hypnotherapy, a lot of different modalities that were very helpful, and that I actually, I do a lot of hypnosis and EFT and stuff like that with my clients because those tools really are helpful. However, like there was something deeper that I could not get to for some reason with anything other than plant medicine helped me, like ayahuasca and mushrooms helped me get to like these depths of my subconscious mind that were like, I guess, blocked off for whatever reason because of trauma
Mm-hmm.
that I could not get to any other way or any other way. I never discovered another way until I found that, and so I've had many experiences with both ayahuasca, mushrooms, 5-MeO, DMT, like Cambo. I mean, I've done a lot of the different plant medicines and it wasn't like,
Combo's calling me.
oh yeah, yeah, it was
A
intense.
purge.
I did a 3-day detox in a row, 3 days in a row.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense.
So if you guys don't know what combo is the frog venom, and it comes from the Amazon, and essentially like you burn yourself and then you put
Someone else does it, but yeah.
the practitioner, it burns you, and then they put like the serum coming off of the frog, and it's just a massive purge and detox and nervous system.
Yeah, I actually have a whole episode on my podcast where the practitioner I worked with, he's sharing all about it. So
Amazing.
if anyone wants to learn more about Cambo. But yeah, so I've done a lot of different things, and it was for a lot of purposes, for healing myself, but also for expansion. I found that like not only was I healing deep things from within myself, from my past and from my lineage, I was also healing the collective, and I also started learning a lot from like source energy and all that is. And I feel like for me personally, I don't know if this is everyone's experience or whatever, but for me personally, I feel like I was meant to find the work, and I'm meant to learn whatever I'm supposed to teach from the work as well.
Yes.
I've learned things from plant medicine work that I feel like I was shown specifically so I can teach it or share it, in a way. So it's been really life-changing, and I'm excited to continue to like guide more people to the work and facilitate experiences, and just really I just have so much appreciation and gratitude for what it has shown me. And again, like, it's not like the only way. I like to just reiterate that because I feel like some people might be like, oh, well, what if I don't want to do that? Or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or there could even be the abuse again, like we had in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I feel like
it's a sacred thing. It's definitely needs to be treated with respect.
There's some people that are just like, they see the power, but like they're not, there's an important reverence that also needs to be honored.
Yes.
With this practice, because it is so sacred, and the only way we're going to allow it to become quote unquote legal is if we continue to honor the sacredness, because that energy is much more powerful than these rules kind of thing. But I just feel like it's going to continue to evolve, and it's going to continue to spark interest. And I really believe that in today's day and age, it's really not going anywhere. Like, I mean, we have the opportunity right now where MDMA maybe become legal as a psychoactive therapy for PTSD and for vets. It's on stage 4, and the organization MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, like they're working really hard, and psilocybin mushrooms, they're on phase 1 right now with depression. And I know for damn sure that medicine itself has been like a massive tool for me to heal and for me to like overcome my own depression. And so do you see like more of the work that you're doing more so in the microdosing setting, or are you seeing like full throttle coming through with the way that you're participating in these ceremonies and these journeys?
What do you mean? Like how
Like, yeah, like do you like do microdosing and stuff with these things, or are you going
um,
throttle, would you say? Like with mushrooms, for instance.
it's kind of like in between. It's not like I'm going to like a whole nother universe and I'm doing like a monster amount. I
I
have
wanted
not.
to make that clear because a lot of people think that like you have to have this crazy,
No.
you know, and that's not it at all.
Yeah, actually, so I haven't really gotten into like microdosing on the regular. You know, I've heard a lot of really amazing things about it. I personally kind of just intuitively do it as I feel. It's not like an all the time thing.
Hmm.
I would say like, I don't know, like every couple months I'll do like a mini journey. But yeah, it's been really impactful and really eye-opening, and I just have so much respect and love for the work.
Because it is
um,
work. It is
it
work. Like
is.
it's not play all the time. Like there can be some fun moments, but like we're healing deep, deep at the core when you're participating in these ceremonies.
Yeah, I have a very close relationship too. It's like a spirit, you know, it
Mhm.
is.
Yep.
And so it's like a teacher.
Hmm. So then with that, like how do you see like the balance of like work and play and in today's, I think because like we're so oversaturated too with just like technology and social media and all
Yeah.
these things, like how are you how do you implement more of the work play rhythm and flow balance in your business?
Well, it's like a constant reminder also, like, is the more fun I have, the more money I make, or the more abundance I attract. So the more fun I have, the more abundance I attract in all ways. And so it's just this constant reminder of putting myself first and
Hmm.
making like my vibration my number one priority.
Hmm.
So that's like another thing that I always say to myself is like, my vibration is my number one priority. And what does that look like? Well, that means that in the morning, like I do meditation, or I don't just look right at my phone as soon as I roll out of bed, or I, do something with my singing bowl and sing or dance or work out and get my sweat on at the gym, whatever it is that day. It's not always exactly the same, but it does come first. Um, I just like, fun is a priority for me, and that can mean many things as well. But it's like, if you're not having fun, what's the point? And
Totally.
so for me, like the easiest way to have fun by myself, like on the regular, is to freaking dance. Like that's the fastest way to just get into that energy of fun. And dancing like no one's watching, like connecting to your body, putting on songs that like pump you up, and then going about your day. Like that's the fastest and easiest way to tap into the energy of fun.
That's what
And
the shamans say. It's like, when did you
yeah.
stop dancing? That's the question that they ask. Like, when did you stop
Mm.
dancing?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
I
this.
talk about dancing all the time.
Yeah, it's like if you're feeling like stuck, like when did you stop dancing? And to me, I feel like the biggest way, like music in particular. Like I was a music journalist before I started doing this, so I totally understand that, and that was like my path to spirituality.
Mm,
And I just feel like when we listen to music and dance to music, especially like that we at least listen to in high school or middle school, like those are even great ways to start healing your sacral chakra, your solar plexus, like down to that lower triangle.
mm,
And, I just feel like more of that would also just bring a lot more lightness in the world.
yeah, for sure. Dancing is like everything.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I know and that was, I mean, that for me, that was like what started healing my depression, like going to raves and being in that rave culture. And I get it. Like, I think it allows you to get into those spaces in your body that may have some stagnant energy. And if that energy is stagnant, you're not going to have that creative flow to create to the next level.
Exactly. And exactly. That's like so important for me to either to move my body in some way, shape, or form, like before I do anything.
Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting because I think too, like, as you continue to build your business, those need to really become non-negotiables because
Hmm.
you're holding more space for people too, especially
Yeah.
in this realm of work, like being a spiritual boss babe, like you're holding space
Yeah.
on a
A lot
deeper
of space.
level. It's not surface level work.
Shit.
It's not, it ain't no basic bitch work, right? No
It's
basic bitch
deep.
work.
Yeah.
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 It's just, to me, I'm really excited to see like the working, to me, that's also a way of working smarter instead of harder.
Yeah, like I'm all about like, and it's funny because this is a constant reminder for me too, you know, because it's so easy to get into that hustle space of like, oh, I'm going to do this and do and like create and, you know, just be in action all the time. And so it's this constant reminder of ease and flow. How can I make this easy? How can I let this flow? And so like, how am I in alignment with that energy in other ways in my life? Am I allowing myself to experience ease and flow in other ways, AKA dancing, you know, getting outside, like just being present and not in my business, but like in my life. So it's like this constant reminder of ease and flow, because the old paradigm is, oh, you know, things are hard. Like you got to work, and do. And like, yeah, you got to take action and be kind of relentless on pursuit of your purpose. And, you know, where's the ease and fun and flow? Because that actually can come first. And when you're
That's why we're creating our own business, is to have fun with it.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
you know, when you're in that energy of ease and fun, you're in this place of flow. And that's when the best ideas come and things just kind of seem way easier. Like you become magnetic. Soulmate clients come to you out of nowhere. You know, opportunities come to you out of nowhere because you're so present in the energy of flow and ease and just not thinking, but just being.
Yep. Exactly. And I think like, I mean, it's interesting to see how with that, how business is also shifting. So I would love for you to share like what you're seeing happening right now in the business spectrum and what things are evolving into.
I feel like a lot of things are shifting now. Um, for me personally, I feel like your business is like an entity of its own. You know, it's like your brand has like a consciousness of its
It
own.
does, most
And
definitely.
yeah, and like everything that you're doing, creating and putting out is an extension of your soul. And so I believe in a spirit-led business where it's like it can be led by your intuition and energy. And I feel like, you know, people are kind of sick and tired of the same generic bullshit,
Yeah.
so to speak. You know what I mean? And so it's like that's why it's so important to fucking be yourself, like really be your real raw authentic self, not give a shit what other people think, and try to do things differently, like be creative. People are craving connection. That's like the number one thing. People are craving connection.
And
And
the
if
opposite of addiction is connection.
yeah, yeah,
You know, so I think we're purging that out too, is just like more conversations of like not shaming around these addictions, because we can have work addictions too.
yeah, I mean, definitely. So I feel like people are craving connections. People want to know that you care. And I just find that the best way and fastest way to grow your business is to literally connect with people through being your real, raw, authentic self, through sharing
Mhm.
your story, through giving value, asking, you know, how can I be of highest service today, every single day? You know, what do people need to hear from me? And asking your spirit team, your higher self to assist you in doing that. But again, you got to put your own self first and fill up your own love tank by having all the fun and doing the dances and all the shit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, then that's the thing that like I'm very proactive of sharing too, is like vulnerability is so sexy, and that is also what attracts people to your business, is when you allow yourself to break down those walls and
Yeah.
share your story and share your truth. So what have you seen as the importance of vulnerability and how that really impacts business?
Well, I feel like people just connect with you way faster and way easier because they see themselves in your story, or they see themselves in what you share, or maybe you share an experience you had and they're going through that right now. And then they just connect to you emotionally, energetically, because they're like, oh man, she gets it. And so by being vulnerable, you're able to establish that connection much faster, whether they're just reading something of yours or they're watching a video or talking to you in like in Messenger, whatever the hell, like you can still connect like without, on a mass scale by like literally helping, sharing stories and letting people relate to you. So I feel like that is the key. And when you do that more, you'll notice more and more people like gravitating to you. And I find that a lot of people, especially just starting out, they overthink about what to share, or they overthink about like how to make these great posts
Yeah.
instead of allowing instead of allowing it to channel through them. You know what I mean? They think like, well, what do I share, or I have to post today, or whatever. And it's like, no, actually you get to just be you. And part of growing a thriving, abundant business that lights your soul up is literally you being your fucking self and living your best life and sharing that with the people, because you are your purpose and you're basically sharing your life experience, your life lessons and things that have helped you. I mean, if you're a healer, a coach, whatever. So it's like by showing up as your authentic self and who you're being and sharing your journey and sharing your struggles and all that stuff, people really gravitate to that, because people are looking for not just connection, but someone to help hold space for them, guide them, lead them,
And when we embrace our journey on how we were able to overcome that, that's where the authenticity also comes through, to hold that space for whoever's coming our way.
Yeah. And also like it gives, like, by you showing up in your truth, it gives other people permission to do so as well. And so I think that it's really important to, share your journey, share your struggles, and also share your successes and how you can help people.
And that's
like,
definitely like throat chakra, activation. And to me, that's like the throat chakra starts to be developed like, around like 28, 20, like Saturn returny kind of and after. So it's like, this is where
that's interesting.
Yeah. So this is where like you're starting to speak your truth, because you have had like years of experience now, things that you've been able to overcome rather in your 20s or, even your teens or your childhood. And all of that relates to quantum healing, and so we have to understand that the past, the present, and the future are all here. And that if we are continuing to bypass the pain and the traumas of the past, it's going to affect how we manifest. It's going to affect how we show up. It's going to affect how we serve. So I would love to hear, because I know you're really passionate about quantum manifestation. I would just love to dive deeper into that right now with you.
Yeah, I mean, well, just like you said, everything's happening simultaneously, past, present, future, and it's really fascinating. And when I first kind of like realized that, it was kind of hard to believe, like, oh, how does that make sense? But through my work and experience, especially with the psychedelics, I've realized that it actually is happening simultaneously, and we get to create our own reality. And looking back on my own journey, I've seen many things that I've done in order to do that and to make these quantum leaps and connect to a future version of myself and bring that energy into the present. And so when I share about quantum manifestation or quantum expansion, I look at it as part healing, part manifestation, because just as you said, like you have to do that clearing work and that healing work, so to speak, in order to really expand. And so it's you could be a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. So it's both. Like you can do the healing work and manifest epic shit at the same time
Because
through.
we're evolving and we're always up leveling.
Yeah. And so when it comes to like the quantum healing aspect of it, it's doing the inner child work, so to speak. So basically going back, revisiting, every different version of yourself, where certain things maybe happened or whatever, and going back and reparenting yourself, loving the little 5-year-old you, loving the teenager you, giving her whatever she needs, because if you don't do that, then like it's still going to act out sometimes in ways that are not actually serving you. And so it's like going back to do that work changes the trajectory to your future. And something really fascinating I want to share is that, so around that time when I was in the abusive relationship, when I was 14 to 20, I was like so broken down, suicidal, like really like I wanted to die. And I started getting into spirituality back then. I started like working with angels and getting all these oracle decks and books and like going deep. And my mom was very Catholic and I wasn't really supposed to do that.
Oh, I know that story.
And so it was so interesting because I got really into all the spiritual work, and I felt like, my higher self was with me, and I felt this presence there and all this stuff. And now looking back, I realized the craziest shit is that it's actually the me now who fucking was doing that for the me back then. And so the me back then heard or felt the presence of the me now saying, hey, do this, read this book, do this, start meditating, start working out. And it changes the whole fucking trajectory of my future. And it's so crazy, like thinking about it in that way and looking at it that way, because I'm like mind blown. Because like there's, it was just this inner knowing, my soul. Your soul. I mean, your soul is in every freaking dimension, every reality, whatever there is. And so
it was like your higher self telling you in that age, at that time, like, hey, this is where it's leading. Trust.
Yeah. And so if you even think about it, technically, like your higher self can also technically be your future self, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like I went back and I found this, and I realized this one time actually in a journey experience. I was like, oh my God, like I'm going back and healing my, inner child person now. But like, I really did that because back then in reality, in the present moment at that time, I was hearing all these things and doing all these things because it was me who was telling me to freaking do that. And so it changed my whole life because I was able to leave that abusive relationship. I, lost 60 pounds. Because I literally changed my identity and did the quantum expansion, the healing and the manifestation. I connected to the future vision even back then. And it's mind blowing. This is all I teach now because like, it's
everything
freaking amazing. And
yeah,
you can apply it to your business.
It's everything too. It's what's like, I always say, like, it's like the cookie crumbs, like knowing, like, see, like in the past, like start putting the pieces together, the things that lit you up when you were a kid, like those challenges are things that, even if you're from the past, doesn't have to be from your childhood, but those challenges are what's leading you to what you're here, your story and what you're here to share. So I think when we start to not like drop the shame of what brought us here or the past, that's a massive part of also empowering ourselves and understanding, like rewriting the story of what was to what is.
Yeah. And the only thing you really need from the past is the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the only thing you really need. The lessons and the gratitude for like what it's helped you do. Like if I wasn't in that abusive relationship, like I was victimized at the time. It was a fucked up, experience. And it taught me some of the greatest lessons of my life. Like it taught me how to really love myself and step into my power. It taught me that when you put your mind to something, like you can literally do anything and create anything. It really helped me wake up to who I really am. And so,
and more than that, it also allows you to gain a deeper sense of compassion when you meet someone going through that can bring that, like, hey, I see you. I've totally been where you've been, and you're not alone. Like this too shall pass. And I think when people have that, like just that one person that kind of gives them permission to know that like it's okay, that's where we can also bring a lot more ease into the experience.
Yeah. And when it comes to like just the making quantum leaps in the manifestation aspect of it, it's like really all about creating from this now moment and connecting to your future vision. Like basically like living as if you already have everything that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like connecting to the energy of the reality of the version of you who's living it out. So like, whatever that is. And some people might be like, well, how do you do that? Well, you do this through your consciousness. You literally can surf reality through your freaking consciousness and manifest and heal through your consciousness. Like just even if you close your eyes every day when your brain waves are slowed down, like when you first wake up or when you first when you're getting ready to go to bed, and use all of your senses to get into that vision of the reality that you're wanting to shift into.
Mm.
With repetition, your subconscious, like, it aligns with it, and so your actual physical reality has no other choice but to shift. And sometimes it can shift really, really quickly, and at the same time, like, it's much denser energy in the 3D, and so sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the actual
Well,
thing,
3D is time, space, reality.
you
So
know. But things can truly happen a lot faster. It's like the collapsing of space and time, that collapsing the timelines. um and so don't define it by, oh, it's going to take long. It's actually, things can happen really fucking fast. There's no rules. It's just like, well, what can you believe?
what's the timeline that you're putting yourself on?
Exactly. And so
Mhm.
maybe you shouldn't even put yourself on any timeline, and just be as if and live as if, and watch how fast your reality changes. But
And
this
the other thing,
all
you have to also like start implementing the habits of that vision that you have
Well,
of yourself
yeah,
too.
exactly. Well, this is all like, it really comes down to shifting at the subconscious identity level. So we see ourselves a certain way, right? So, for example, if you want to, I don't know, be a millionaire and be making this massive impact or whatever, you have to connect. Literally have to change your identity. The millionaire version of you, who's, speaking on stages and impacting, thousands of people or whatever, how does she live her day? Like, how does she start her day? Let's start there. You don't need to go crazy, but how does she start her day? Maybe
The
she,
work ethic, like all the success is all about work ethic, it's like being able to implement that and to start
yeah,
embodying
what's
that.
embodiment is everything. It's like, not even just how does she start her morning, but like, what does she like? How does that version of you like walk, talk, act, show up? Like, when I'm doing an identity shift, I usually change something physically too. Like, I just shaved the side of my head. I just dyed my hair light pink. My style a little bit. I always do something. It's not like always super dramatic, but something to actually step into that in the now, into that future identity, you know? So it's really all about shifting at the subconscious identity level. There's faster ways to do this. Like I said, this is why I got so into hypnosis and NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and EFT tapping and stuff like that, because it's like those are tools, aside from plant medicine, of course, but those are tools that really help you shift at the subconscious level, in a much faster, more powerful way. But again, that in and of itself is a habit. Like, you've got to develop the habit of doing that on a regular basis enough for yourself so that you really do upgrade the program in
The
your mind.
momentum, building
Yeah.
that momentum. And I think like what people don't really understand either is that the subconscious is formed by the age of 6. Like the root chakra is that subconscious. And so if there's still trauma that you're avoiding from those ages, that's affecting everything. And that's, again, goes back to the quantum healing, like understanding that all of that is correlated and relatable in a way of like still having a voice into the experience that you're having and still
Mm-hmm.
having kind of like an influence, I should say, to the experience.
Yeah. I love inner child healing work.
Me too.
It's been so powerful, and there have been parts of me that I didn't want to go back to, that were really hard to go back to, that I kind of didn't like. For a while, I didn't like those parts. Um, but it's been so healing to like go back and just love the shit out of myself, and like have that
Mhm.
compassion, and like, understand that certain habits or things in that were coming up, in present life, were really stemmed from like a part of me that needed my attention. And so
Mhm.
I even had another experience where I did this meditation where, I spoke to different parts of myself, and I asked them, because I felt like I was going in my head. So I'm sure people can relate, that if you've had like a thought or belief that keeps coming up and you have no freaking clue how to get around it, and you've been doing this work and it keeps coming up, and you're like, I thought I already worked through that, and this shit keeps coming up, so something like that was happening for me. And I did this like meditation experience where I basically connected to that version of that part of myself who was feeding me that thought or that belief, that part of myself who kept telling me that. And I did this whole thing where I basically like asked her what she needed from me, and kind of changed things. It's all about like having a conversation with yourself. I like asked her what she needed from me to support her,
Mm-hmm.
and also what she can do for me to support me. And I like letting her know that that is not supporting me and where we're going. So can you do something different? Or like, if you need my attention, can you just remind me to take care of my body? If you need my attention, can you just remind me to like eat more healthy food or something? Or can you just remind me to dance when you need my attention? You know? And
Beautiful.
yeah, it was
Because we
really
had to have a relationship with that part of ourselves too.
yeah, and understanding. It was kind of like, okay, I know, I understand you're feeling like this, or this is what you might believe or whatever. And you know, just that's not true. This is where we're going. How can I support you? um so yeah, I don't know, it was like this really interesting experience. It was really profound though. I don't know
Really
if
amazing.
yeah.
I love that. I think that's such a beautiful, because we need to, again, foster a relationship with those parts of ourselves that
Yeah.
be hard to look at, or, you know, again, the shame, or, you know, that are just kind of brutal, but they're
Mhm.
still part of us. And again, there's a purpose to it with the compassion. There's a purpose of the connection. There's a
Mhm.
purpose of strength.
Mm-hmm. And the thing with this is that yes, those are parts of you, but and however, the beliefs that certain parts of you might hold are not you and are not them. So, like like even if a part of you believes something like that you're not good enough or whatever, like that part of you is part of you, yeah, but that belief is not, you know. And so it's like it's almost like teaching them. It's so funny like to talk in this kind of context, but it's been really helpful to me to do this kind of like, I guess, parts therapy on myself. But like to have kind of conversation to help them realize it's actually not true. You need from me to help you feel enough now. And so it's like, okay, and they'll answer you, like if you have conversations with the parts of yourself,
Yeah,
like
it's every, and that's the same. It's like you also have free will, and
mm-hmm,
that, right? Just as like talking with your guides, like it's not going to come in unless you invite it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's really powerful work, like the inner child or reparenting or parts work, whatever you want to call it. It's really powerful.
And
And
I
I do
feel
the
like
same.
there's no accident why it's coming right now. Like it's like doing right, like deep work right now. Because I do believe that our generation is the bridge, you know, like we're the bridge between the old and the new paradigm. And so we're the ones that are like helping guide and lead to like what is sustainable from the old paradigm and what is the actual new paradigm as well. So the
Mm-hmm,
fact that we are the generation that's really activating more of the inner child quantum healing work,
mm-hmm,
that's saying something, because we have the power as a generation to be like, okay, when we do this work, all this, also we're healing 7 generations behind and 7 generations before. Like there's a lot of the karma that we could be carrying from our family that
a
we
lot.
know is even ruling us. So
Exactly.
we're the ones that are the sacred disruptors that are saying like, this does not sustain what I'm about to create. This is not sustain what I'm ready to experience. This is not going to sustain what I'm here to share.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating, because I think like from like now, like, you know, those of us who've gone through Saturn returns, our first one, like her parents are not going through like their second, or have already gone through their second Saturn return in that realm too. And so the fact that like our generation, like we have the like psychedelic renaissance, we've got this like massive like quantum healing renaissance, we've got this like art run, like we're all coming into like our truth, and our parents are like seeing that now, as well as like we continue to evolve as adults, and they want to know. I don't know about you, like my parents are always like, my dad especially is always curious about like what I'm doing, and I think there's a wave of that, of generational healing too, that's really happening right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a really wild time
It
to be
is, but
alive.
it's yeah, it's really powerful and really important, and like we all came here for this purpose of like coming together to raise the vibration of the planet, you know,
Mhm.
and it's like really interesting and fascinating and like exciting at the same time.
It's really cool to like be in that hawk perspective and like experience too, like from that higher perspective of like what's unfolding
Yeah.
and what are we going to do about it.
Mhm.
I don't know, I'm just like, I'm thoroughly excited to see how this journey is going to continue to unfold, and to see more people like answering the call to share their journey, answering the call to like share their purpose, and
Mhm.
to like really like run with their passion. Like my favorite quote, I remember I put this in my application when I applied to school, was from Steve Padilla, excuse me, Steve Padilla. And he said, passion and purpose go hand in hand. When you find your purpose, it's something you're extremely passionate about. And
Mm.
so I think that there's just more of an opportunity for us to embrace like what lights us up, more of an opportunity for us to
Yeah.
embrace like what sets our soul on fire.
Yeah, and sometimes you know, people might be like, "Oh, I don't know exactly what that is yet," or what if it's, you know, I've experienced a lot of people who either say they don't know what it is, or they have so many things they're passionate about. I know I did. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I say to that is like, if you don't know what it is, know yourself and start to really get to know yourself more, and you will know what it is pretty quickly. And secondly, if you have multiple things that you love, you can look at those things as tools in your toolbox, and they're just parts of who you are. But you get to choose how you want to live out your purpose. You get to create it. It's not something that you need to find. You don't need to choose. It's just like, well, you can choose, is what I said, but you don't need to do everything all at once. You can just look at things as tools in your toolbox. You know, for
Mm-hmm.
me, like I've had a million different business ventures. There's always a theme, I feel, with artistry. Then I used to design bras and, you know, performers. And then I did my personal training, and then I had a boot camp. And then, you know, so I was on this journey. But what I realized is that I was always on purpose for where I was on my journey. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because I was
And there's a
following.
gold thread between all the parts of that
There is.
journey. Yeah.
All of them matter, because I learned so many different things. And for anyone listening, like every part of your journey matters. So do what lights you up in this now moment, and don't freaking worry about what the end all be all thing is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
That used to drive me nuts. And then I finally was like, you know what, I am on my purpose. Like, this is just me following my passions, and I'm going to let this evolve as it does. But there's a theme. And so I believe that everyone always has a theme. You know, for me, my theme is my art. That's my gift, is my art. Anything creative. I make pendants now as well, but I kind of just do that I don't do that as much. But I do that. It's part of my, like, something I add to my work. But like my art, and really helping people know their worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the core of my theme. And so even though I help people grow their business, step into their purpose, manifest, whatever, at the core of it, it's like helping people know their fucking worth and step into their power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the core of it.
Mm-hmm.
And sharing my art in the form of my jewelry, and in the form of everything that I create, my videos, my brand, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah,
And
it's an
so,
expression of your soul.
exactly. And so I encourage people listening to really look at your theme. Even if you already are on purpose and doing your thing, still look at your theme. It's really cool to see it and to really own that. And I feel like it helps strengthen like what you're doing and what you're putting out in the world. You know, just knowing your theme, like, oh yeah, this is me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is no matter what. And I'm gonna, you
It's
know,
your truth at this
exactly.
moment. It's your truth
Yeah.
at this moment.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh my God, I've been loving this conversation. Okay, so I want to wrap up with some quick lightning round questions for you that I love to end all these conversations with. This has been so fun. Okay, so what does sovereignty mean to you?
Sovereignty means like living life on my own fucking terms.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. What would you say would be a really strong animal totem that's been guiding you lately?
Right now, I've been seeing the owl like everywhere. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Not a real owl, but like in jewelry, pictures,
Mhm.
whatever.
It's still there.
I
That's what
know.
people understand too. It doesn't matter if it's like you're seeing the
Yeah.
actual animal, it's still there. What would you say to younger Stephanie?
I would say, I love you and you're so fucking amazing.
Amazing. I love that. Let her know. You have to let her know. And what would you say to someone out there, just like a last little blurb about what you're feeling and what's coming up to be shared right now?
I just want to encourage everyone to like keep following your dreams, keep following your purpose and that inner nudge within you or that burning desire within you to
Mhm.
freaking share your message loud and proud. And you know what I'm talking about. That burning desire that's like, yes, you have something really important to do it, share it, create it, be it. Just keep following that and really stepping into that, because the more you do that, the more powerful your message will become and the bigger the impact you'll be able to make. And hello, you'll get to just continue living your best fucking life and making the rest of your life the best of your life, starting from this now moment on. So keep going, keep growing, keep expanding, and you get to create anything that you want in this lifetime. So anything is 100% possible 100% of the time. So just fucking own that.
Yeah, tell them. Are amazing. And where can we find more of you?
So I'm on Instagram at the spiritual boss babe. And I have lots of goodies and things on my site at spiritualbossbabe.com. And of course, my Facebook group that's on my site as well. Pretty much everything you can find on the site too. Spiritual Boss Babes is the Facebook group.
Yeah, and it's always popping over there.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, sister. Thank you for being so vulnerable and for sharing your truth and your medicine and just your overall experience as to what's led you to this really powerful journey. And because you've, like I said, you've created such a really strong container for people to heal. And I've seen what those women write inside that group, and I see that people are hungry, and you get to really create this platform that allows that hunger to be fed and to be shared and to connect. So I really appreciate you for the work that you're doing and how you're answering the call. And we need more people like you in the world. So thank you again,
Aw,
Stephanie. Appreciate you so much,
thank
lady.
thank you. I appreciate you so much too. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yes, it's been so much fun. So everyone go check out what Stephanie's up to. And we're looking forward to hearing what you think about this episode. And we'll be chatting with you soon. Take care.